Ken Smyers and Eric Stromquist are under siege. The team at ControlTalk NOW, the Smart Buildings VideoCast and podcast. Ken has been attacked by the latest technology, and Mother Nature's having her way with me. Stay tuned for details. Hi, this is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to ControlTalk NOW, your Smart Buildings Videocast and podcast. This is episode 202 for the week ending October 23rd, 2016. We talk about all things controls here, smart building controls, HVAC controls, dumb controls, smart controls. We don't care because we got the smartest guy in the room as your co-host and my co-host, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Kenny Smyers. Kenny, big dog, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. My technology trials and tribulations were dealt with a new razor I got with the, it has that little, it's the 6-blade razor. You know, it's one of those you take the top off and change them out, you know, so that's nothing new, but it has the trimmer on top, and you got to be really careful with that trimmer. It is razor sharp, I guess it's supposed to be, but I cut myself twice, and I don't know if anybody can see it. I hope not.
Yeah, you can't really see it.
It's really it is amazing how technology goes down into those very simple devices like a razor blade. I mean, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. We see razor blades used to be so crude and criminal back when you used to have the single blade. You put it in there and you screw it shut, and then you were on your own. You might cut yourself 10 times. Remember the old days in the old TV shows? Everybody's walking around with a little bed with the little toilet paper things, you know?
Yeah.
And that was because it was the truth. But now they've refined that to an incredible science, and it's got so good. But I don't think I'm going to use those ones with those trimmers anymore because I cut myself twice, and that's not good.
Well, dude, I tell you what. So the smart building thing. So the most whacked up I ever got was, you remember a singer named Isaac Hayes? He was like a soul singer.
Sure.
He was a bald guy. He developed a razor. I thought the Runner or something like that. And essentially, you put a little razor blade. There was a deal that fit over your finger, so you could do like this.
Oh dear!
And I tell you what, I hacked myself up so bad with that. It was unbelievable. But so anybody in the razor blade industry, are the razors truly open, or are they proprietary protocols? That's what we got to know, dude. So you got that going on, man. Mother Nature's having her way with me. I got a cold. You know, we got the 2 small kids, and so if I sound a little raspy today, it's because I'm having trouble talking, which might be a good thing for all our listeners, because Kenny might have to carry the weight of the show here. Man.
Well, hey, listen, you get absolution because you called the date wrong. You called October 16th. It's going to be for the week ending October 23rd.
I thought that's what I said. But
I don't know. I think it's 16th. But listen, you're a goal setter. You're a model person. I don't believe you're doing this, but you got dedication to the cause. I know how sick you are, and you don't feel good, and you didn't feel good yesterday. So keep up the good work, Mr. Stromquist.
Well, you bet. So I got to tell you one story about my Tesla that just sort of amazes me, right? So I took the Tesla in to get it fixed. And first of all, the customer support at Tesla was just unbelievable. I was having a little trouble with my key. So, they take me, it was take an hour. So they valet me over to a restaurant to eat while they're fixing the key fob. And we're going along, and I get the guy's driving my car. I let him drive my car, and he hits a button, and all of a sudden the car's driving itself. I mean, we're going down the road. I mean, you kind of have to have your hands on the steering wheel. If you don't, the sensor goes, put your hands back on the steering wheel. But essentially, dude, if you're going on like on a long road trip or something, you can hit that button and the damn thing will just keep you in the road. It gives you as a setting how many car lengths you want to be back from the car in front of you and all that kind of stuff. So I think the next big bypass we're going to see is all the great Uber drivers are probably going to get bypassed by the cars that drive themselves. So nobody's safe in this world of technology and bypass, right?
Oh, you're so right. Somebody in the insurance industry told me that that's going to be one of the first and hardest hit are going to be your limo drivers, all the people that make a living driving a vehicle in chartered circumstances, of course, cab drivers and airport limousines, all the way down to the local buses, for port authorities and whatever. So it's going to be a real disruption in that industry, and there's going to be a great resistance because it shouldn't happen overnight, and it should be phased in so that it doesn't cause disruption to people's lives. Especially if you're 25 years into an industry, and you're ready to retire, and all of a sudden they cancel your your subscription for work because they don't need you because of technology. So I mean, it's a lot of it brings a lot of stuff. It's almost like some of the other things that are happening with nanotechnology and what it could do with medicines and some of the things that are available. It's going to be interesting. We'll probably see it in our lifetimes, but yeah, one day we will have driverless cars. And
well, you know what the big plus to that is, Kenny. My kids, my two small kids, for our listeners who might not know, I have a great daughter, Britt, who's 27. She's awesome. But I've got two small kids. I have Evelyn, who's about to turn 4, and Axel, who is 18 months. So you know what this means for me, Kenny? I mean, a problem that you and I had with our oldest kids is turn 16 or 17, you know, I'm not getting you a car. I'm getting you a car that drives itself, right? So don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Oh, sure, but I don't even think it's going to be like that. I think what you're going to have is you're going to have vehicles that are going to be, available, and they're talking about new houses that don't have garages. All buildings having no parking lots and no parking garages. That's going to be. They're going to wonder why you live in a house with a parking garage. It's going to be like just to be dated here. At our early ages, we saw houses that still had outhouses and whatever, especially out in the rural areas. And someday the grandchildren we have are going to come and visit us, and they're going to say, "Why do you have that? What's that garage for? What's that? Why there's no car in there?" So it's just going to be one of those things. It's going to be a leftover staple from something that was superseded by technologies.
Well, I tell you what, Kenny Smyers, my kids are getting a car that drives itself. End of story. I might changing it. So stick around for 16 years to see if that prophecy comes true. But Kenny Smyers, speaking of truisms, the ControlTrends Awards are coming up, and we've got the greatest sponsors in the world. And we've got 2 that are sponsoring this show this week as part of their platinum sponsorship. Tell us about our friend George Thomas and the great company he has, Contemporary Controls, and then we'll get on to Mad Mike Marston and EasyIO.
I'd love to. Contemporary Controls designs and manufactures the system building blocks for networking, integrating, and controlling automation processes where performance and reliability are very important. The team there that I've known and heard of, George Thomas, of course, Kurt Clausen. We have Ming-Shu Wang, who's an engineer, and probably he's going to be in for one of the best support people for small manufacturing. And then we have Joe Stasik. I think we've met him in Europe once or twice, or at least once at the EasyIO thing. He did a demo. But featured products for Contemporary Controls are the building automation, which is the building on BACnet provides solutions for small and scalable building and management. Control Link or CTR Link. This is really an interesting product because this is focusing on managed switches, consists of managed and unmanaged switches, media converters, wired and wireless IP routers. These products are designed for unattended operation environments, conducive to office-grade equipment. And finally, Contemporary Controls with ODM, Original Design Manufacturing. With over 40 years of experience in electronics design and development and manufacturing, Contemporary Controls has a rich inventory of intellectual property that can be tapped for your next project.
Well, I tell you what, Kenny, that's well said, but I think it goes way beyond all the great products. If you're a ControlTrends follower, you know George Thomas, the founder of Contemporary Controls, was inducted into the Hall of Fame 2 years ago. George is a real giver, and I tell you what, if you want to get educated on BACnet, they've got some of the best training videos that are free that you'll ever see. These are just great folks. So we're very pleased. Kurt came on this week as a platinum sponsor again. And again, without enlightened companies like Contemporary Controls, we can't do the award. So thank you to those guys. I think the website is cccontrols.com, contemporarycontrols.com. So, all right, Kenny. And next, one of our favorite people, I want to say the one and only, because he kind of is a one and only. We're talking Mad Mike Marston from EasyIO. I mean, you spent some time with Mike, and he'll be coming later up in the show. But what can you tell our listeners about EasyIO and Mad Mike Marston?
Well, on the whole, people have to realize that EasyIO is a global company, and North America is not its largest market. It's doing very well in Southeast Asia and just growing. Australia, some of the deployments they have are very, very large in scope and integration. So basically, EasyIO is a global company. Its products are distributed and supported throughout the developed world. We have distributors, EasyIO SIs, and OEMs strategically located wherever you need products to be deployed and supported. And speaking of support, you've got a great team there too. You got Gordon Chen and Mike Marston are the CEOs and owners. You have Lim Hoon Chat, who's just everywhere all the time. He was recently in Japan, and I think he's back in China now. And SK Fu, who's also nominated for Best Technical Support Small Company. And they just EasyIO. We missed Mike. He wrote an email after our last show, said we had a great show, but we forgot to list him as one of those technology leaders And EasyIO takes pride in their innovation and keeping current with the open source integration tools necessary to bring edge devices, into being and fruition. And just some of the great ideas that are coming into our industry are being introduced by EasyIO. So great company.
It is a great company, Kenny Smyers. And like I said, you spent some time with Mike earlier in the week, and we'll be talking about that later in the show. But, buddy, I tell you what, we got two big pieces of news. We got some posts we'll go through, but two big pieces of news, and we'll start with the big one. The nomination ballots are up for the 2016 ControlTrends Awards, and you can see them on the ControlTrends website. There's Kenny put the featured story up this week, so you can go right there and take a look at it. Yep. And you can see there's a pretty girl right there holding a sign, and people want to know if she's going to be at the awards, and you're just going to have to wait to find out. But the thing about the nomination period is this is the time period where Kenny and I really find out who new companies are and new products and new people. And we do that because you guys tell us, okay? So if you go through the ballot, a couple of things, guys and girls. One is that you can nominate up to 3 for each category, okay? The second thing is there's a space down there called Other. And the other space is absolutely critical because, Kenny and I basically just put a small spattering of people that and places and products that were suggested to us or platinum sponsors sort of get the first look on what they want to have on the ballot. But that other category is absolutely critical. So if you don't see your company, your people, or your products, just write in other. Once they get 2 votes for the other category, and Kenny and I verify that it's legitimate, they automatically go on the ballot. Okay, so we had so many people last year that came on through Other. We really, really encourage you to do that. The other thing about the ballot is send it out to everybody. Send it out to your network, copy the link, send it out. We do require an email address. I think anybody that's voted in the past knows that we do not abuse that. We don't send you stuff. I hate doing email. It's a lot of extra work. I hate getting emails from companies that unsolicited emails. So we were very respectful of that. So I think the thing is, send it out, but you do have to fill it in, put your company name down so Kenny and I can make sure that the ballots are legitimate. We've had some cheaters before, but we figured out how they did it, so that's not going to happen again. As a matter of fact, we might create the ControlTrends Hall of Shame. So you people that are trying to game the system might get an award this year for the ControlTrends Hall of Shame, if you will. So with that, Kenny, 2 new categories. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'd like Hall of Shame. That's interesting. That's an interesting concept that's working in certain areas. But on the upbeat again, the 2 new categories that have been added are really, these are trends that are magnificent trends developing. We've watched the growth of it. We have more news to report on it. But we have the ControlTrends Woman of the Year Award, and then the ControlTrends Most Impactful Video of the Year. And I'll tell you what, first with the Woman of the Year, I mean, what an enormous subject, what an enormous response, what a great opportunity to celebrate, the women that have been so successful, take advantage of their prominence, find out how they got successful in the industry, and that'll help us, again, attract more and more young intelligence to our industry to sustain our industry. One of the fastest growing industries in the world, the fastest growing industry in North America, and we're looking at a shortfall of losing about 60% of our workforce by the year 2022. All the guys like you and me, the support people, the sales engineers, imagine that. What a devastation that would be for an industry that's growing and then has a reverse impact on drawing people to the industry itself. So we're doing something wrong, and we believe that bringing positive attention to the successful people, particularly now the women, they can help bring more and more young women into our industry to help sustain one of the best industries in the world.
No, agreed, Kenny. And I think it's important to note that on the CGNA Woman of the Year, it doesn't necessarily have to be an executive. It could just be a woman that in our industry that's making an impact, that's doing something really, really special. We do have on the Executive of the Year, we have 2 very, very strong women candidates on the large manufacturer, Jenny Stentz from Johnson Controls and Annette Carlson from Snyder Electric. And on the light commercial side, Sarah Montaloni from Connect Air. So again, I think it's important to realize this is not necessarily a woman that's an executive. It could be a great salesperson. I know Ruth Hershey from Siemens was nominated by Siemens, and she's an outside salesperson, but she exemplifies the qualities that Siemens looks for in great people. So that's that's a key piece right there, Kenny. Is we want to know who these great women are. We want to honor them, as well as we're trying to attract younger people into the industry. So we'll have our Young Guns class coming in again this year too. So if you know somebody that's young and in the industry and making an impact, make sure to send us their names as well. That's not one that's up for voting. But we will have a class of 7 or 8 new young guns this year as well. So with that, Kenny, the other category is one that's near and dear to my heart, which is the most impactful video of the year. And we have to thank Gina Elliott from Snyder Electric for that suggestion. And Kenny, what it is, I mean, if you think about Control Trends, we are primarily a video site. I think we're living in a video society where YouTube is, the place that people go to get educated and get information and find out about new products and people. And so this is in the category we're very, very excited about. So if you go to the ballot there, you'll see that some have already been populated where people have sent videos in. There's a particular format. If you read the information there on the category, we basically need the company name. After that, the name of the video, which will be the YouTube name or the Vimeo name, and then copy and paste a link to the video. Okay, you get that on share, like on YouTube, just put that in there. So we'll have a place to go look at it. Now, unfortunately, the voting software we use, Kenny, doesn't allow for us to embed a link. So if you wanted to see one of the videos to vote on it, you basically have to copy that link and put it in your browser. It'll take you right there. So what'll happen after that, Kenny, is we'll do the voting for that. The top 6 or 7 will be our finalists, just like every other category. And with that, Kenny, we will post those videos on Control Trends so everybody can see and vote on the finalists for that. So I think it's a heck of a category. Looking forward to see. The ones I've seen so far have just sort of blown me away. And it could be, and by the way, impactful video, George Thomas, his team at BACnet, I think they're nominated for their BACnet training series, has had a huge impact. So it could be a cool video, it could be a funny video, a video that gets your attention, or it could be a great training video. So the category is pretty much wide open, but if a video impacts you, you see it on YouTube, check it out, submit it in the other category, and we'll get it up on the voting site.
Yeah, that's just a great category too, because I think on one hand, marketing you've never had a better chance to get more marketing collateral into the eyes and ears and in front of your customers than using a cleverly devised or insightful video training. Nothing's more extraordinary in terms of Google juice than putting in a valve actuator information thing, or a difference between this valve or that valve, and just it's a great opportunity, and we're seeing the response to be enormous. In other words, you're right, the younger generation has a whole different approach towards how they access information, and you need to bend and stretch and change some of your sweet spots to accommodate that. And again, as Ken St. Clair has told us many times, this is a way to archive these little bits and these little infomercials and these little commercials and these little marketing themes, and then especially the clever ones that have humor in it, like we saw with the Schneider Electric with the thermostat, where the guy's showing the people at work his fancy thermostat, and he's driving his kid crazy at home because he's turning the electricity off and on. I mean, what a great concept! But it incorporates everything. So this is going to be our marketing of the future, and I think it's a great Control Trends Awards category, and I can't wait to see how it finishes up.
Yeah, no, I agree, Kenny. And I think it's not even the future. I think it's now and the future. And this is an opportunity for the great marketing companies at these companies to show off what they do. I know Lisa Hickey at Belimo, for instance, does some fantastic Belimo videos. I mean, some of the videos on the Belimo Energy Valve are outstanding. Honeywell spares no expense with their videos. Johnson Controls does a great job. Siemens. I mean, all the major marketing departments now are really getting on board with the videos. And speaking of insightful videos, Kenny, I mean, as you know, you and I do a lot of scouring. Among other things, we see Control Trends sort of being a filter. I know you read and take publications ad nauseum looking for information that would be relevant to our Control Trends community. And we have several of those posts coming up. And I do the same thing on YouTube and videos like that. If I can find a good training video that I think makes a lot of sense, we post it so you don't have to go looking for it, okay? So I think a great example of that is our first post last week, which was by a company called the Geek Group, and they're basically doing electronics on relays, how relay works. And I tell you what, I was kind of blown away by the comprehension of this. It was very easy to understand and very, very well done. So hats off to the Geek Group out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and hopefully we'll post some more of their stuff as well. But what do you think of that video, Kenny?
Well, again, like you say, there's nothing better than when we're trying to learn things. I think there's like three methods or three primary methods, and that is the instructor-based thing where you sit down and you listen to it. The second one is the show me and then do, so that your trainer or whoever shows you how to do it, and then you do it with your hands on. And then the third way to learn is when you put all three of them together. So you're being instructed, you're doing it yourself, but then you get to see other people do it. And it's like the scatter training style. But to watch a YouTube and then be able to stop it and go back, and that's what they do here. So the electronics, the relays and contractor basics has been watched by thousands upon thousands of people around the world, in every state, United States. I mean, so we know that this thing is powerful. We know that this concept is not going to go away. So as we see more people allocate more resources in marketing and create the base, collateral deposits for their companies, a large amount of that resources and those expenditures should go into the documentation done in the video format.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. And I tell you what, let's just move right on to our next post, Kenny, which AHR, the Innovation Award, is donating $22,500 to the Opportunity Village. So speak a little bit about that, if you will, Kenny Smyers.
Well, people don't realize how important AHR is until you dig in. You see how many things are piggybacked onto the AHR Expo. And the Innovation Awards competition is just a facet of it. Just to think about it, AHR is the show, this expo, that really and truly enlarges everybody's awareness and opportunities to get into the deepest part of technology the quickest. In other words, it's a 3 or 4 day, 3.5 day, blitz of information, and then they have the different things. But AHR is so large and has been doing so many things so well that people don't even realize it. It's been a very giving, aspect of society. And like this thing started back in 1954. The Opportunity Village serves children and adults with intellectual disabilities in Southern Nevada community, aiming to enhance their lives via vocational training, community employment, day service, advocacy, and arts and social recreation. And this isn't the only thing that they do. Every time AHR has a show, they leave behind them some generous stipend or community donation to support the local area that they just came from. So if you Google AHR and you look at their history and you look at what these folks do as a sign of good merit, good citizenship, they share some of the financing that they get coming through their organizations. But hats off to the AHR. It exemplifies the ways in which HVACR can contribute toward making the world a more pleasant and productive place. Clay Stevens is the president of International Exposition Company. They're the show managers, and they're proud to extend this sentiment through donations to the community in these worthy organizations, particularly located in the backyard of each show. So again, 2017 is going to be in Las Vegas. So again, it goes all the way back to 1954, and it's a contribution to Southern Nevada. So hats off to HR. Very good.
Well, another thing too is AHR is behind the ControlTrends Awards now, which is a cool thing. So we appreciate their support for the ControlTrends Awards, and we'll continue to help that. And then Kenny, that brings us to our next post, which is we're constantly talking about, Kenny, we've been talking about, Silicon Valley. We're at Realcom, IBCon, Jim Young and Howard Berger's show. We've been, going to those conferences for a while. About 4 years ago, Intel and Dell and the rest of them started to show up. And we've been telling the community for a while that Silicon Valley's on the way. They're going to play in the smart buildings control space, whether we like it or not. If you watched last week, I was at KMC, interviewed a gentleman from Dell. They're working with KMC as well as Intel on their Commander platform. So some of these things are going to be indirect, working sort of with existing players, if you will, and some are going to be more direct based. So what was your take on the CANDI PowerTools software system?
Well, the first thing I think is we're going to have an interview, I believe, with the CEO before he goes off. He's a world traveler. He's sending his product globally in scope. But CANDI basically is one of those disruptions that'll put chills down your back, because if again we had forecasted the IoT was going to make an impact. It was just a question It wasn't a matter of when. It wasn't a question if it would make impact. It was a question of when exactly it was going to come to a neighborhood near you. So CANDI is disrupting the cost and scalability limitations of the smart building market. It's innovative, it's open technology, easily and cost effectively connects devices and data to services that create smart buildings. So this is a software as a service platform. But basically, its PowerTools software is built into leading low-cost Internet of Things gateways, enabling building managers, smart building integrators, and enterprise service providers to integrate instantly communications with legacy building systems and next-generation technology using the smart IoT and smart devices. So I mean,
okay, well, hang on a second. I'm looking. I looked at the diagram. We couldn't get the diagram posted, but Kenny, is this in jeopardy of replacing something like Niagara, or is this going to be? And look, because it looks like it'll take all the different protocols in. I'm seeing that. The other thing I'm seeing is it is pushing stuff up to the cloud, which is another trend we've been tracking. IoT is big on the cloud, and then the third thing is software as a service, where you'd be renting this software, for lack of better terms. But I can't tell by looking at it if this is a direct threat to Niagara or not.
Yeah, it is. It's an absolute competitive effort designed at building integration and IoT. So the tricks that we use, to sell things, and first of all, the name of it, CANDI, that's kind of cute. How it's CANDI, so it's pretty harmless. But I'm sure that's an acronym for something. I haven't found it yet. But what happened was they've done some heavy lifting, and they developed extensive test drivers for hundreds of the most prevalent protocols and devices, the legacy and next generation protocols, to certify that it would work. So we're talking BACnet, we're talking Ethernet, we're talking Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Modbus.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the home run protocols of our industry. And so if they've done that, then of course they're serving as they're normalizing data somehow, and they're making data across, what used to be pretty, standalone stuff, and of course Niagara was a company that made our world truly a Swiss knife. It was an incredible experience. The first time we really truly could say we could integrate multiple systems, disparate legacy systems, by using these drivers inside of a J. So, but again, it takes this thing that we've talked about time and time again is co-opetition. So when we're talking about what could possibly be disruptive in one market, might not necessarily be true. Ken St. Clair has also mentioned too. I mean, this thing can be pointed in different directions and not affect the markets that are already using, say, Niagara.
I don't know, Kenny. I just went to their website, CANDI Controls, CANDI Controls.com. And their first thing is CANDI connects devices and data to the services that create smart buildings. So I'm looking at this thing, and they got systems integrators right down there. They got analytics. So maybe, I don't know if they're connecting things like DG Logic and J2 together, or maybe they're just going to connect this stuff together, which is kind of what Niagara does, right? So
it says how it works. I mean, so if you go on there, it just says that what they do is they've created an API to do, like you said. So traditional building management systems use the embedded intelligence, a narrow range of equipment and devices underground, limited to proprietary silos and boiler rooms, rooftops, one-off dashboards. So CANDI recognized that today's smart buildings require better integration across many types of existing and new equipment. And again, these are Intel-based stuff, so they've got the deep pocket, engineering support. But then you choose your models of deployment. So again, I don't see things happen. I think it's like geological time. In other words, if you look at 5 billion years, it doesn't make sense. When you see you fly out to the Grand Canyon, you see all those layers, and you see this just time. It stands still in this kind of environment. I think what CANDI offers is another solution that's going to attract its set of people, and people that are inclined at that level to deal with it. But it's not going to necessarily cause you to give up your successful business model and jump on another one just because it was there and presented to you. I think what's going to happen is that concept that we've been talking about, where you're going to see the market get saturated in different directions by different different providers. But 80% of our market is still underdeveloped, underserved. So this is going to go out and get its share of market, but it's not going to displace or overtake anybody that has an existing play. It might be competitive in certain places, but I think what we're going to finally accomplish, Eric, is we're going to have smart buildings in the truest sense of the word. That every building will be mandated to pick one of these providers, these solutions, and use it. But California be first. They'll push it into law. They'll enact it. That every new building has to have a smart center, a smart approach, and it's going to be Title 24 California way, and it's going to, 10 years from now, they'll look back and wonder why we were so belligerently stubborn to adopt new integration opportunities.
Well, we've talked to a lot of smart people, Kenny, in the industry, and I think, slow to adopt is a term that's been used a lot. But again, looking at their website too, I mean, we've talked about edge to enterprise. I mean, one of their things is, at the edge and in the cloud. So they understand the concept of edge controllers, obviously. Simple, inexpensive, smart, and available now. And it's security is the big thing. So all the trends we track, it seems like they're addressing. So as near as I can tell right now, we'll get the CEO on and get some more information. It sounds like you could use it with your existing system as a way to get the data to the cloud. But it also looks like you could, if you had a new application, maybe just go directly from the edge to the cloud. I mean, imagine getting Mark Peacock's Link Spring Edge controllers and getting your data and just wanting to take it up to the cloud and have it be safe and secure. It seems like you could do that way. Maybe that's what you're saying, I think. But it's just, I think you got a certain piece of the pie, right? And different people, like you said, are finding different ways to approach it. And yeah, nobody's going to drop all their Jaces and take them out just because there's a new technology. But new buildings might adopt it.
Yeah, I think all the above. I think but here's take for instance what Contemporary Controls did a while ago. They went up to this thing called the BACnet International Plugfest 2016, and they demonstrated there. They pulled the stuff out of the box, and with 43 people or manufacturers, 43 different teams from 80 attendees from across the world. You bring the product out of the box, you plug it in the network, and it has to meet the BACnet specs and do things like that. And to me, until these guys do that kind of asset testing, now they say everything's certified and whatever, but where's the Missouri test? Where's my proof? Where's your CANDI box on this BACnet International Plugfest? In other words, it's one thing to claim you can do it. It's another thing to actually do it. I don't doubt that they can't do it. I'm just saying, so you're looking at a time lapse before they come into the market and actually gets adopted before you actually start to see it in specifications. Now, if it's from the Realcomm side, it's a top-down or user-directed decision, then maybe they can say, I want to use this stuff. But again, we work in a very, very slow, bureaucratic industry that doesn't jump too quick. And again, so if it is good and is successful, now they claim, again, our experts have developed communication drivers for the most prevalent North American building controls and IoT devices, both legacy and next generation. So we know they must work with the usual suspects, the big five. So the devices have been tested and are certified to work with CANDI. Okay, so that's going to be something to see, and we're going to have more information. So I think it's great for the ControlTrends community to come back. So get a leg up on what the competition is going to be for people that are in the business of providing gateways, and then secondly for the innovator. I think you have that jump, the curve, the chasm. Who's going to jump across first? So we'll be in touch with these people. We'll be working with some of the top systems integrators that will no doubt be contacted by CANDI to become to try it and see what you like it, and then we'll start to see development.
Right. And I think in the meantime, please reach out in comments. Let us know what you think. I think there's, Kenny and I've been saying for a while, ever since we've been doing the Silicon Valley thing, that they were going to have an impact on how smart buildings are being done. And, Kenny, you made an interesting statement. This is another trend that I'll challenge you on a little bit, which is slow to adopt. I think that's the dinosaurs mantra. And I think that our industry is no longer going to be able to be slow to adopt, I don't think. And primarily because of guys like Jim Young and Howard Berger at Encon, at Realcomm Ibicon. I say the trend I'm seeing is the owners are becoming so educated, and they're the ones that are driving. It used to be that, an owner would hire an architect would hire an engineer. The engineer had the trained guy or whoever write his specs. They did the same specs. They did the same thing for 25, 30 years. They were slow to adopt because it worked. It took the risk of it out of it. So if you were kind of an unenlightened consulting or even an enlightened consulting engineer, you knew the trained guy, whoever was in it with you, you knew it worked. There was no risk. And I tell you what, now it's risky not to jump. So I think it's riskier now not to try the new technologies than it was before. So I think we're seeing a new dawn where I think speed's going to be the differentiator. And I don't think you can sit on the edge and wait I don't think the Missouri test is going to work a lot anymore. I mean, and some people are going to fall on their face because they jump too soon, but not to jump or to wait might be the riskier strategy.
Well, I wouldn't argue with that. I mean, there's no contest there. But what I'm saying is that that Johnson Controls meeting we went at, we listened to that great presentation on the day in the life of a smart building, and he summarized his talk with the headwinds. Why don't people jump on board here? And it was ROI. Wasn't proven sufficiently. The ROI wasn't enough to justify the expense. In other words, we don't know what CANDI costs yet. We don't know what the, just like we find out with some of the other things that were new applications that laid over, they cost more than they saved to put them in. I mean, it's not a question. This isn't a government program where we have unlimited funding. This is where you've got X amount of money and you need to pick your choice of one of these providers that's going to give you the biggest maximum effect at the least amount of cost and have modularity so that as you can get more budget and more opportunities, or use that savings, that energy savings to basically pay for your next upgrade or whatever. So I think it's great. I think we're in a wonderful time. You said it many times. This is a great time to be in building management or building automation.
I've said it's a great time to be a building owner in building automation. You get more choices. But I've spotted another trend, Kenny, because you talk about innovative technologies. Our friend Lindsay Baker from Comfy, right? Innovative technology with the buildings, kind of on the smaller scale, using IoT, using the cloud, using sort of the way people think about things in Silicon Valley. And now we got CANDI. So I think if you are a Silicon Valley company, I think the number one thing, you have to have a name that starts with a C, and it's kind of warm, like Comfy or CANDI, right?
Yeah, that's. I'll go with that. No, I think it's coming out of Silicon Valley is what I'll go with. I'll tell you, Eric, we knew this day and time was coming. We talked softly about it. We try to dodge it. We're concerned for our own business interests. That this could be disruptive to our own businesses. But the one thing that we knew time and time again, we had Ken St. Clair's coverage on this thing. The last August and September, into October, we're all about this IoT. Maelstrom, this hurricane that's going to hit our industry, because not only is this making claims that it can do incredible, important things, but it's tried and tested. So we will begin to take these layers of this onion off and find out what's happening, look under the hood, and have some data and some empirical information to share, like who did what where, but we knew it was coming. So if this is the move that's going to happen, ultimately we're going to have a greener planet. Ultimately we're going to have users that are going to be much more satisfied, end users that are going to be delighted with their savings. We're going to just be a better place all in all. But in somewhere along the line, you, myself, and everybody else in our industry is going to have to evolve and deal with it.
I hear you, buddy. Well, and I think the government's trying to help with this too. Our next post, $6.5 million to scale up energy efficiency in commercial buildings. What's that all about, Kenny Smyers?
Well, that is one of two posts we're going to have on the Department of Energy. So we covered the nominations. We're going into the Energy Department announces a $6.5 million scale up. Now this is really cool. Again, it's like macro. It's like, okay, big deal. So what? But this now is getting down into some of the partners and vendors that we have should definitely be making a play in here, because this is money that's available from the GSA. It's the GSA Green Proving Ground program, is a key collaborator and will participate in the review committee and offer demonstration host sites. Now, again, so now you have the money available and you have the playing field, which is the GSA, and they want to see the latest and greatest building demonstrations. So you have to submit, you have a deadline for your application. Then the submission deadlines are November 21st. Submission deadline for full applications are 2017, February 21st. But this is going to be where somebody like CANDI should come in and show us, because it says the successful applicants will propose high-impact real building demonstrations led by strategically structured teams who will identify and verify cost and energy performance of multi-system energy efficiency packages, groups of technologies that will improve efficiency across 2 building systems. The envelope: lighting, electrical, plug, process, heating, ventilation, cooling, refrigeration, energy management, and information from sensors and controls. So the objective of the funding is to generate and disseminate data, case studies, information that lowers perceived risks regarding the efficacy and economic benefits of innovative and underutilized commercial building technology packages. So that's a mouthful, but I'll tell you what, these are hitting like like big blots on a paper that are starting to connect. So we see on one hand, the government is going to fund this kind of discoveries, fund this kind of technology development, and on the other hand, you've got people and new players coming out of Silicon Valley, new IoT smarts that are going to be applied into our industry, and you're going to see a successful marriage along the line, and we're going to keep track of that. That is probably the second top trend in our industry right now.
I wonder if it's going to be that way after November, though. That's an interesting thing. If with the new, whoever wins the presidency, they're going to continue on with this. Because it sure hadn't stopped a light litter, man. Why are you laughing?
You just have to bring that politics up.
It's a legitimate question. I mean, you know.
Well, okay, it's legitimate in the fact that DOE is funded and whatever. But again, these you're right. I think we will see the momentum of these programs are covering multi 4-year campaigns. You know, this is deeply rooted in our energy and our smart grid and stuff like that. So I don't think it can go away. I don't know how well it'll be funded. Just like the STEM funding, you know, we need to bring more of that into the fruition. We need younger people putting their efforts into learning, stuff that's going to be that's going to make us competitive and stay on top of the IoT development.
Well, I wanted to dispel a myth real quick, Kenny, too. That Donald Trump responds to Twitter things, because I tweeted him a couple of times asking him if he would stop light litter, and he has not responded once to me.
I saw those tweets. I saw that.
And then Hillary, I wrote her a letter, and she said she'd kill me if I kept talking about it. So, I just think they're committed to keeping the lights on, man. That's it. That's their deal. Light litter. By the way, that light litter, if you don't know, is a term that Kenny came up with. That we all see it beautiful days, and the lights are on all day, every day. And my statement last week was, it seems like it's usually government facilities that this goes on with. And why not? They're not paying for it. We are. But Kenny, was a $2 billion a year problem?
Right. Light litter has been estimated at $2.3 billion. And, there's just, we were talking about this with a couple of really smart folks the other day, and they really think that we should have the ability to address this. There should be some sort of in Los Angeles, for instance, or California, when they have a water shortage, there is a hotline to report people using water. If you see somebody watering their lawn, or they're washing their car or whatever, I'm not saying that this is going to go this crazy or be simple about it, but we started light litter, back in May of 2013, I think, and we had so many comments then, but we just can't keep momentum and emphasis on it. But if it was like water coming out of a spigot or out of a fire hydrant, or God forbid a fire, it'd be called in immediately. But you can drive by lights on a highway for 2 miles, and somehow the sensibilities of people aren't affected. It's certainly not normal. But we have, hundreds of pictures on ControlTrends, and
some of the Facebook page, the Green Marines, right? We got a Facebook page where you can post those as well. But send us your light litter things. It was interesting because at KMCA interviewed Luis Alvarez, who is one of these IoT people and in the space that KMC brought in to speak. He's saying that by 2020, all the homes in California got to be zero energy, meaning that they produce as much energy as they take out. I think he said by 2025, all the commercial buildings are. And, it's kind of ironic, because if they're going to make the private sector do all that and they can't turn their damn lights off, that's not a good thing. But, we all know in the controls industry, it's pretty easy to fix, right? You just, get your light sensor fixed. Brian Pike had a great product called the Bullet, which actually has a video camera in it. It fits right on the existing light poles. So the technology's there, but like you said, I think we've just become immune to it. I just don't think they don't see it. So
that's a good term, immune. I was going to say complacent, but immune's better. It's like it doesn't have an impact, even though it's costing you money. It's like for the and like I say, it's estimated in the billions. This isn't something that's made up. The 40% of our electricity costs, or 40% of our energy costs electricity, and you keep breaking that down into lights or that are on when they don't need to be on, and that registers as that moves the needle up into the billions. I mean, look at how many times we're seeing now the new technologies talk about shade control and daylight harvesting and whatever. So we know that on a granular level, that equals a lot of money because it's being included into the efficiency offerings, so that you can weigh if it costs you more to run the air conditioning than it does to get the free lighting. This could be, rules based that it would cost us $2 an hour to cool this space versus the 70 cents we're saving on the outside lighting. So we're going to go ahead and close those shades.
But most of the times they already have a photo sensor on them. It just needs to be recalibrated or whatever. I mean, that's the irony of it. These are very, very, this $2.3 billion you're talking about is low hanging fruit. I mean, we know from the controls industry. I mean, you put a $30, $40 sensor on it, you can control it. Put a time clock on it. You can control it. Hell, you can put with all the little wireless devices that Apple has at the Apple Store. You can put that up there on in the switching and control it. Our industry can solve that problem. That's my only point. So Hillary Donald, the first person that comes out and says they'll stop light litter, gets my vote. I don't care anything else. Light litter's got to go. So, and speaking of that, Kenny, I wonder if the next generation is as concerned about light litter as we are. And our Rob Allen, along with several other young guns, including Brad White, Jason Haupt, Josh Felburn, they dropped their first new podcast. It'll be on the ControlTrends Podcasting Network called Next Generation Innovation. So check that out for sure. What do you think of it, Kay? You have a chance to listen to it yet?
Yeah, I did. I think it's great. I think these we've picked these people for a reason. Again, we were just really impressed with everybody here. Had some interesting aspect to their career, were their age. They were already in positions of prominence. They already had a great idea of what's going on. They had the finger on the pulse of the industry, and they're so young that they can be very, very. They can relate easier than maybe our generation can to the next generation. So our hope is that listening to the intelligent commentary of these folks, like Josh Felpern, Rob Allen, Jason Haupt, Brad White, and all the other ones, and please go into the ControlTrends website and see the two generations of control, the young guns we've had. This will be our third year of the young guns, and we had 15 of these folks have been identified. We've tried to reverse engineer their careers a little bit because, sometimes these folks were studying to be engineers. They were mechanical engineers or sometimes they were in a different industry entirely, but now that they're in the control industry, they see that there's a great future and they actually enjoy their jobs. Just like we heard from the Miss Hershey there at Siemens. Ruth Hershey said that, this is probably the most interesting job. She's had different jobs, but the fact that every day is a challenge, it's very competitive, it's very compelling because you're selling a great product that saves energy. So it's a win-win-win, and it's challenging professionally. It's never boring. It's never a dull moment. So why, you talk about headwinds, what are we doing wrong to alienate people from looking at
I don't think we are. I think it's kind of like the best kept secret. It really is. I think people. I talked to a woman at one of the local IT schools here in Georgia, and they come and they study computer programming, and then they get really disillusioned. They wind up being at she called them a cubicle farm, right, where they're sitting in the same place every day writing software, which for some people is fine. You got to have that. But a lot of people are disillusioned with that. And I think the thing about our industry is if you want to have a direct impact on the planet, making the planet greener and better, you want to have a challenging job that you get to do different things. You're not locked into a cubicle farm. You got these enlightened companies like Ruth works for, Siemens, Johnson Controls, Honeywell. I mean, it's just a fantastic career. It's never boring, but you're having a direct impact on the planet. So, Kenny, I got to ask you a question. Talking about young guys. Do you remember what it was like to be young?
Remotely, pictures. I get the chance every once in a while. I'll go back through, when the babies were born. You talk about your youngsters, and we have had visits from our daughters that they're taking things now, and we get a chance to go through some of those photos. But I remember
here's where I was going.
I remember what it's like not to wake up and be sore. All the different things.
But do you also remember back when you were young and in the industry, you had all the answers? Because I do. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was remembering my dad and Lewis Cook, who were running our companies when I was in my 20s and 30s. It was like, I had all the answers. I knew exactly what needed to be done, right? And they were doing it all wrong. And the older I get, the more appreciation I have for just how well they were doing it. And also the older I get, the less I know about what needs to be done. I mean, I think, Oscar Wilde once said, youth is wasted on the young. And I think part of being young and being a young gun is you have a lot of fresh perspectives, which is really great. You have a lot of confidence that you know what needs to be done, which I think is really great input. We got to have that. But I'll tell you, as you get older, you realize the subtleties of the game, if you will. And, you got to have the blend of both. I think you really do. So I guess, we're always talking about the young guns, but a special shout out to the older folks in our industry too, because I think you know what I'm talking about. The older you get, you see a lot, you learn a lot, and you realize that things are a lot of times more complicated than they seem. And, but then you need the young guns behind you to push you, right? And I think that's the great thing about our industry. I think the companies that are really moving and doing well, they really respect and like being challenged by the young guns. I know Rob Allen, one of the things I love about him, Kenny, that makes him so useful to me is he challenges me a lot. And I can't tell you how many conversations with Rob start with, I'll do what you ask me to do, but here's why I think this is the wrong thing. And but he has saved me a lot in terms of, possible costly mistakes. So it's, I think we got to have the blend. So again, that's an invitation for the young guns, the younger folks to come into our industry, both men and women. And I would encourage you to be challenging, but at the same time, to have respect for your elders. I mean, we grew up with that. And I think there's a reason for that, because your elders were once young guns too, and had the shit kicked out of us a couple of times. And so we might be a little overly cautious sometimes, but I think the blend of the two, I think, is what's going to find the solution.
I would agree with that. I think it's well said. And, I too agree that the fastest way to learn is to get that, more than one person involved, and what we're doing with collaboration. When we have collaboration and we can sit in a room we got the people that we still revere and respect as our elders, and somebody that's 27 years old and owns his own engineering company, mixed with a guy that's been a systems integrator since he's been 16 because his dad took him on his jobs, and you get that kind of collaboration. You get that kind of group think. It's amazing, and it promises a great future for our industry. But we need more of it. We need, instead of one or two and them being the exception, we need a certain percentage, like Mr. Oswald said from ESI, that how much of what percentage
tribal knowledge is leaving the building, right?
Right, and what percentage of your workforce is under 50? Come on.
Well, and I will also reach out to our young guns and say that there's a line from the movie Wall Street 2 where the old guy and the young guy are walking outside, and the young guy really likes the old guy. He's sort of mentoring him, and the old guy looks at the young guy and says, "Hey, kid, getting old's not for sissies." And so have some compassion for your tribal dogs here. And but hey, enough of that, Kenny. I tell you what, talking about an old guy that's trapped in a young guy trapped in an old guy's body is George Thomas, Contemporary Controls. And what is Plugfest, Kenny? That sounds like that could be a little racy. Are we sure we need to be talking about that on Control Trends? This is a family show, buddy.
No, it is an incredible event. I think if I ever get a chance to get there next time, I'd love to see it, because this is the real one. This is the Missouri Show Me thing. This is a conference for manufacturers of BACnet products that allows the attendees to test their BACnet products with BACnet devices from other attendees in a neutral and friendly environment. And see, to me, when somebody's coming out and making statements that they can do everything that everybody else can do, well, please next year bring your products to this place, and you'll leap forward in an incredible way. So find a way to make your product important in these things. But basically, this year there were 43 teams and 80 attendees. Contemporary Controls worked with 9 different teams in 9 one-on-one sessions. They tested their BAS Gateway LX, their BAS Control Z in both server and client mode, BAS Controls, BAS Control I22S, the BAS router, the BAS LX, the BAS, it's tough here, all these BAS router LX, and BDT products. And here's the hardest one. Contemporary Controls also utilized their new unmanaged EISK8 8-GT/8, and I'm sure that's all driven by those represent different capabilities and different features on their products. But basically, it's an 8-port gigabit Ethernet diagnostic switch with hub functionality to allow easy access for sniffer programs during the BACnet interoperable tests. So this thing here, okay, the Plugfest, what it does is, and this guy, Joe Stasiak, the sales manager at Contemporary Control, says, this allows all messages directed, multicast, broadcast to flood the ports on the switch, allowing a protocol analyzer such as Wireshark the ability to observe all traffic on the network. So basically, it's a diagnostic tool, and it performed very well at Plugfest 2016. But again, these guys actually walk the walk, talk the talk, produce documents that they share with the industry to make us all better. George Thomas is a believer in open source. He believes in the end product, and that is that the user's satisfied, and they've accomplished that. Their desire, Contemporary Controls, is just basically touching the surface in the industry. They were kings of the routers and kings of the networks, and have very, very famous products. If you sold any spiders and stuff like BACnet, anywhere along the line, you'll see a Contemporary Control router. But now they've got a great controller. Now they've got an open source Sedona-based controller that they're giving everybody that has the ability to integrate and use their own abilities to do it, not by a packaged approach. These guys will work with you to let you set up a very open and formidable network of controllers.
Well, that's really cool, Kenny. So a couple of things you said there. First of all, does their troubleshooting tool compete with Optigo, the visual BACnet that Ping Yao has? Is it similar to that?
Oh, certainly. So they would definitely probably competitors with both Sierra Monitor Corporation, Optigo, competing for the router sales, but also what they do. I think Optigo is a much more diagnostic. That might be a deeper dive into because they're doing security now. They're monitoring anomalies on the network that might exceed the scope of just connecting one BACnet device to the other.
Yeah. So Ping or George, if you're listening, we'd love to get you guys in comments to sort of clarify that for us. That'd be great. And the second thing, you mentioned Sedona, Kenny, and Sedona was, for people who don't know, it's a programming tool that you can use where you can essentially take objects. You talk about the Internet of Things, and you can go down and you can make objects smart, for lack of a better term. And it seems like Sedona sort of got orphaned a little bit. At least that's my take, Kenny. And a lot of people have sort of gone away from that. So it seems like, among other things, George is offering, if you've got orphan Sedona type controllers or sensors, it seems like George is offering you an option, if you will, so you can continue to use your Sedona parts. Fair statement, you think?
Well, I think to understand what Sedona is, it's a language, it's a protocol, it's a framework, and it comes from a town in Arizona, right? I think what happened was Sedona was something.
Brian Frank, right, wrote that, didn't he?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
I wrote the tritium stuff.
So it came through, Niagara, and it was an open protocol so that it was a complete platform to speed the development of smart network devices such as I/O controllers. As a platform, it included several components. It was a programming language, a simple Java-like language used to create your application logic and define new function block components. It had a standard library of APIs, predefined function block components to speed the development of new functionality. It was a virtual machine to efficiently execute software developed in the Sedona programming language on different hardware devices that might use various microprocessors or operating systems, or it had no operating system. It was a SOX protocol, a simple UDP IP protocol to provision and configure devices. So it was used at one time for your workaround to give people the ability to add their own APIs. I remember, like you mentioned, Brian Pike, but he really had some slick Sedona programming for integration, through your Jace, Mike Marston and EasyIO and Lim Hoon Chat. They have a lot of Sedona work out there. So does Alper Alsmeiser from BASSG. He did a lot of Sedona work, and of course Contemporary Control. So when I think Niagara is changing their protocol and not using Sedona, there was some curiosity or some wonder and concern about all the legacy Sedona and the future Sedona. But I think George Thomas is determined to keep it going, and like you said, they're experts on this and they're willing to work with you. I know same with EasyIO.
Gotcha. Well, hang on a second, Kenny. I got a phone call. Yes, Alina. Yeah, I'm doing the show with Kenny right now. No, it's January 29th. That's right. Yeah. Okay, you can come with Dwayne. Yes, I'll set it up where you can meet Kenny for sure. Oh, you want to know what he's wearing? Selena wants to know what you're wearing your shirt, Kenny. Listen, I got to go. I got to finish the show. I can't talk now. You Hollywood types just drive me crazy. Kenny, Selena wants to know what kind of shirt you're wearing there, buddy. So how about tell us about your shirt?
Well, I'd love to. This is business related. Now we had.
So sit up a little bit. There you go.
Okay. Well, this is a KML. This is Keystone
Lift it
Mountain
up a little
Lakes.
bit. Yep, there you go. All right.
Okay.
There it is.
This
Yep.
is Pat Butler, the director of facilities for the Carpenters Union in Pittsburgh, gave me this shirt after Mike Marston from EasyIO, Dave Simmers from Running Brothers completed a deep dive look at some of the product issues we were having with voltages and whatever. And Mike Marston came from London, came into Pittsburgh. He was tired. He didn't even want to go out that night. And when Mike doesn't want to go out, he's tired because it's always fun to go out, Mike, because we catch up to a lot of stuff. And we met the next morning, 8 o'clock, and checked out some stuff. But afterwards, we got a chance to do a couple of things. One is we got a chance for Pat Butler to show us this incredible environment that they have as a training. Just a history, real quick overview of the Carpenters Union, the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America. It began in 1881. It now has a workforce of 532,000 members, representing 872 locals. But we have a very, very strong, area here, and Pat does a great job. And Pat is a big fan of ControlTrends, but Pat wants to know how he can make his buildings more efficiency. He's looking for the smartest integration using the least amount of steps. And now we've taken a turn at some of the things that EasyIO can do, the telling through the remote, servicing and diagnostics from remote locations, so you don't have to drive up to the site. So we got to talking, and then we did an incredible presentation with Mike Marston on the new FW14, which is going to be a wireless controller that's going to be available here in the next quarter from EasyIO. That's going to give you wireless connectivity, and we're going to have a little video here to show. But it's an amazingly incredible price with 8 inputs, 4 outputs, and it has wireless connection. So Mike is going to demonstrate for us in this video how easy it is to get connected and what the impact is going to be. So it's another opportunity for that light commercial building space that is presently underserviced by just maybe commercial thermostats, maybe setback thermostats, maybe not. But now there's no reason why you can't deploy a very simple, straightforward system using the existing technologies. It's like everybody else. If you have a router in place, you have a wireless network available. This is wireless, so it's a really neat solution, and I look forward to the response back from the ControlTrends community on this video that Mike did with Pat Butler, Dave Simmers, and myself.
Right. Well, you did a great job with the video, Kenny, so appreciate that. And hey, Pat, a special shout out, man. We really appreciate you checking the show out, and cool stuff. That's a great video Kenny put together. You guys keep up the good work there.
Well, we got one more thing. Department of Energy post. I'm so tickled by it because so many things happened with our friends from India. There's a thing called CBERD. CBERD, the Eagle and the Tiger, United States and India Partnership Advancing Building Energy Efficiency Innovations. Now, we have Samir Pradham over there, and he's working this same concept from his side. We're working on our side and keeping track of it. And that basically, United States and India have a long and successful strategic partnership in energy sectors. In 2009, the United States and India launched a partnership to advance clean energy, which is called PACE. To accelerate inclusive, low-carbon growth by supporting research and development of clean energy technology. Now, think about that. Instead of everybody trying to create their own wheel, if you work together with a very competent partner, you get the benefits of this collaboration. So we're talking mostly research in solar energy, building energy efficiency, advanced biofuels, smart grid, and energy storage. Building energy use accounts for 40% of the United States energy consumption and 33% of India's energy use. So CBERD is promoting collaborative research and innovative energy efficiency technologies for smart buildings, which have the potential to contribute to significant energy savings in both the United States and India. It's a lot longer post. Please visit it if you're interested, because we also had a couple other posts from the development. Some of the people that we know personally are developing markets in India, and that is going to be a place, as we learned from the Johnson meeting, where they have the money, they just don't have the expertise. The United States, we have the expertise, but we lack the budgeting, the consistent budgeting to move forward. So there are different headwinds for different places around the world, but this is kind of cool because we're keeping an eye on both of them.
No, absolutely, for sure. And a special shout out to Samir Pradham, our man in India. You can learn more about the Indian market by visiting ControlTrends India. That's ControlTrends.in, and check it out. And with that, Kenny Smyers, man, we have another week in the books, episode 202 of Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings Videocast and Podcast for the week ending October 23rd, 2016. I am Eric Stromquist. He is Kenny Smyers. A special thanks to our sponsors this week, Contemporary Controls and EasyIO. They call it easy for a reason. So with that, Kenny Smyers, I will bid you a great weekend. And to our Control Trends audience, remember, be bold, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed. Kenny Smyers.
Go Steelers.
Go Falcons.